welcome back to the YouTube channel. I seriously appreciate you tuning in today. We're back here once again in my 2007 Nissan 350z HR. Jeez, man. Dang. This thing is no joke, man. As you saw from the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about if the Nissan 350z... One sec. I don't want to be behind this person. Is the Nissan 350z going to be a classic that's going to be worth investing in? And a lot of people ask me this question in the comments, and it's usually phrased like, is the 350z going up in value? Or like, will 350zs be worth more than they are now in the future? And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. I have a few different points I want to discuss. Things I think as to what might lead us there, and then also things that might not necessarily lead us there. So we're going to discuss these. I just realized I had my blinker on that whole time. That's okay.
5 minutes later.
All right, we just left Vintner's Vault. My job is I make wine, so I had to go get these filter pads for the filter machine. We're gonna filter some wine. Let's go right through here. Last time I checked, they completely blocked this Arizona crossing with like huge rocks. Oh, looks like they're gone now. Yeah, there was a lot of water flowing through this a few months ago. Oh man, it's almost bone dry right now. So first things first, we gotta talk about the performance of the Nissan 350z, because when these things came out in the early 2000s, I could not imagine what it was like getting behind the wheel of this thing in 2002, because even today, I'm blown away by the performance. And of course, it's not the fastest car in the world, but I would say for how acquirable these things are, it's got a good amount of power. Like for instance, me and my brother raced about a year ago, and he has a 2020 Honda Civic Si, and I was in the 2006 Rev Up 350Z, and it was seriously neck and neck. Like we were right there next to each other the whole time. And I want to say the 350Z even pulled forward a little bit towards the end. So considering the cars are about 15 years apart from each other, it's pretty impressive that the 350Z was able to keep up with a turbo Civic from 2020. So depending on which 350Z you get, the 03 and 04 have 287 horsepower, the manual 05s and the 06s have 300 horsepower, and then the HR, which is 07, 08, has 306 horsepower. So each variation of the engine got a little extra horsepower. So the upper 200s for horsepower was pretty insane in the early 2000s, and honestly, even today, it's still more than enough power to get you in some serious trouble. But the car just handles it so well. It's not too much horsepower to where you feel like something's gonna break or it's always braking on you. The car definitely feels really balanced. So that horsepower, coupled with the well-tuned suspension directly from the factory, I mean, the 350Z was seriously a force to be reckoned with. So not only is the 350Z fast, but it also handles amazingly in the corners. Usually cars that are great in the corners have to give up something, and that's usually power. They swap power for weight, and although the 350Z weighs a little bit more than like my Miata, for instance, still comes in at about 3,200 pounds, which that's not super heavy considering. I'd say a Lamborghini Gallardo from the same year, 2006, weighs about 3,300 pounds. So around the same weight as one of those cars. So it's not like the 350Z is an absolute boat weighing over 4,000 pounds. So this level of performance regarding like the power and the handling capabilities, it really set this car up to be a spotlight for enthusiasts. And then as time goes on, it just seems more and more people are learning about it and wanting to acquire them. So, and that's just one of the reasons why I feel like this car is going to be a good investment in the future. All right, my camera overheated. As the days are getting warmer in summer, I noticed the camera's starting to overheat, so that's not good. But anyways, so along with the performance and the handling, I feel like over the last like 3 years, the 350Z has just gotten way more popular than I feel like it was in the past. And with that comes more and more young people buying them. And with more and more young people buying them, there's not much like funds to go around. So a lot of the 350Zs that you see out there have been like really, I mean, kind of messed up, to be honest with you. Like some people do cosmetic mods, and it definitely does not help that the car has such huge aftermarket support that there are aftermarket mods for basically every single part of the entire 350Z. So finding these cars in stock condition can be really difficult still. And honestly, the way it's going, I feel like the stock cars are going to be worth the most. The markets are basically flooded with aftermarket pieces. So, but that leads us to our first point as to why I think this car might not necessarily be a collector's car. I mean, overall, I think it's going to be, but there are a few details as to why I think it could not be. So I 100% think that these cars are going to be collector's cars. Will they ever be as much as the Supras and the R34s of the world and the RX-7s? Like, will the 350Z be going for $70,000, $100,000 someday? If it's completely stock with like 13K miles on it, I could see how in like 20 years, 30 years, it might be worth like 50, 60,000, just because that's going to be almost impossible to find. But I do think the cars that will go up in value are the Nismos, just because they did not make very many of them, and you just do not see them ever. So if there is going to be a 350Z that goes like through the roof, like over 100K, I think it's going to be the Nismo edition. And honestly, I would love to have a Nismo someday. I've been looking online and they're so expensive. I was hoping to even find like a broken salvage one and try and fix it at the shop that I work at, but I don't know. If you guys know of anyone selling a Nismo 350Z for a fairly good price, let me know. I really want one. I feel like it's the top of the line 350Z, and I feel like because we make videos on the 350Z, we need to have one on the channel. So my very last point as to why I think the 350Z is going to be a good investment for the future is the reliability of these things. 16 years later, and I would say most 350Zs are still on the road that haven't just been completely drifted and destroyed via takeovers or, you know, drifting. But all the cars that haven't been totaled are pretty much still running, which is amazing. I mean, we're approaching 20 years of the 350Z now. I mean, 2002 is when the car was unveiled, and 2002 was 21 years ago. So these cars are approaching 20 years old, which is absolutely nuts. And to think that this car still runs the way it does, I mean, it has a check engine light, but that's my fault. You know, it's the exhaust. But it's just crazy that these cars are so reliable still. And you see so many of them with like 250,000 miles on them and still going strong. I would say that these motors have about 300K miles in them if you're absolutely 100% keeping up on the maintenance. I've heard the clutch has about 150,000 miles in it, and that's pretty solid for a clutch, especially in a car like this. And the VQ35 is literally one of the most reliable engines Nissan has ever made. They put it in so many different cars. I think like 9 or 10 different Nissan models got the VQ35, from the 350Z to the Pathfinder. So mechanical engine parts are super common. So it's not like looking for engines for these things is difficult. These cars are super reliable. I've had no issues whatsoever. I think the thermostat went out in my red car once. I mean, realistically, that's seriously it. You know, just regular oil changes. I've flushed the coolant like twice in that thing already, I think. And other than that, I've had no issue. Oh, we did spark plugs once, but seriously, no issues. And I'm honestly just so thankful that Nissan built these cars pretty bulletproof. So anyways, as you can tell, I'm here at work. I got my filter pads. Thank you so much for tuning in. Here, let's go up to the top. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the thumbs up button, drop a subscribe down below if you haven't yet already. Join the family. We're about to hit 24,000 subscribers any day now, and that's just absolutely crazy to me. So thank you once again so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.